10 volcanic islands.
Model tells you a country's prosperity is built on resources. You have oil, you export oil. You have fertile land, you grow food. You have a coastline, you build ports. You charge for trade access. Resource endowment is the starting point of development. It is the foundational assumption behind decades of collapses, the island is left with a workforce organized around a commodity the world no longer needs, and an infrastructure that serves no domestic purpose. The economy crashes. The rule has played out hundreds of times across the Caribbean and Africa. Cape Verde partially broke this rule for a reason that was not a policy decision. It was an accident of geography. Because the islands could not sustain large-scale plantation agriculture, the soil was too poor, the rainfall too unpredictable, Cape Verde was never organized around a single extractable crop. It was organized around a different function entirely: logistics. The transatlantic slave trade made the islands a processing and transit hub. African people from dozens of different ethnic groups were brought here, separated from their communities, stripped of their languages, and conditioned before being shipped to Brazil, the Caribbean, and North America. Later, Atlantic shipping made the islands a provisioning and refueling stop. The economy was always built around movement. People, ships, goods passing through, rather than extraction from the land. Think of it this way. A mine produces wealth until the ore runs out. A toll road produces wealth as long as traffic keeps moving. Cape Verde was always a toll road. The traffic changed, from slave transit to ship provisioning to tourism to remittances. But the underlying logic of being located between 3 continents and charging for that position never did. The dark irony is that the first traffic Cape Verde charged for was human beings. The wealth that gave the islands their initial strategic value was built on one of the worst systems human beings have ever constructed. Layer 1. The Diaspora Economy. There are an estimated 700,000 to 1 million people of Cape Verdean descent living outside Cape Verde. The island's total population is 560,000. The diaspora is larger than the country itself. This is not a modern phenomenon. It is the accumulated result of 200 years of colonial neglect, drought, and famine. The famines of the 1940s killed tens of thousands, a substantial share of the entire population at the time. The Portuguese colonial administration provided almost no relief. People left for Portugal, for the whaling ports of Massachusetts, for other Portuguese colonies, and crucially, they kept sending money back. Remittances are now so structurally embedded in the Cape Verdean economy that development economists study them as a stability model. Unlike foreign direct investment, remittances do not evaporate during global financial crises. They track family need rather than profit opportunity. During the 2008 financial crisis, Cape Verde's remittance inflows barely fell. The diaspora kept sending money home, while European corporate investment collapsed across the continent. Layer 2. The tourism paradox. The islands of Sal and Boa Vista, flat, sandy, almost completely barren, look like the Sahara dropped into the Atlantic. For European package tourists seeking guaranteed winter sun, this became commercially valuable. By the 2000s, Cape Verde was receiving more tourists annually than it had residents. The irony is precise. The same geographic features that caused the famines, the lack of rain, the volcanic terrain, the desert landscape, became the economic asset once the global economy shifted from agriculture to leisure. The very things that killed people became the things tourists pay to photograph. Layer 3. The Euro peg. In 1998, Cape Verde pegged its currency to the Portuguese escudo, which then transferred to the euro. Small developing economies almost never maintain hard currency pegs successfully. It requires enormous foreign reserve discipline and removes the safety valve of devaluation during shocks. Cape Verde has held it for over 25 years. The reason it works is structural. Remittances flowing in as euros provide a permanent source of hard currency. The diaspora is, functionally, Cape Verde's central bank reserve. Without 700,000 people in Europe sending euros home, the peg breaks. The monetary policy only works because the forced emigration of the colonial era accidentally created the conditions for it. Layer 4. The football economy. The Blue Sharks, Cape Verde's national team, qualified for the 2026 World Cup. A nation of 560,000 people competing in a 48-team tournament that represents the peak of global football. Almost none of the squad was born on the islands. The players were born in Lisbon, Rotterdam, Bordeaux, Darmstadt, Luxembourg, children and grandchildren of the people who left during the famines, developed in European academies, funded by European clubs, trained in European facilities, and then they chose to represent Cape Verde. This is the diaspora economy applied to sport. Cape Verde cannot produce elite footballers from 560,000 people with limited football infrastructure, but it can access the talent developed by a diaspora of nearly 1 million people embedded in European systems. The same economic mechanism that sends remittances home also sends a World Cup squad. It is the 1 million people the colonial system forced off them.